What if everything you've been told about how to take care of your gut has been incomplete from the very start? For years, the advice has always been the same. Eat more fiber, drink more water, add a probiotic to your routine. And yet, millions of older adults are still feeling bloated after meals, exhausted for no apparent reason, dealing with slow and heavy digestion that doesn't improve no matter how hard they try. If any of that sounds familiar, I want you to know it's not your fault. And more importantly, there's an explanation that conventional medicine took decades to acknowledge. Long before the word microbiome became popular in scientific journals, there were thinkers and traditional healers who pointed to the gut as the origin of nearly every ailment in the body. One of the most well-known among natural medicine communities was Dr. Sebi, a self-taught herbalist who dedicated his life to teaching that disease doesn't arise out of nowhere. It finds fertile ground when the digestive system is congested, overloaded, and out of balance. His words sounded radical at the time. Today, science is beginning to prove him right, even if it's using a completely different vocabulary. What this healer called accumulated mucus and internal acidity, modern gastroenterology calls intestinal dysbiosis, an imbalance in the population of bacteria living inside our gut. And the consequences of that imbalance go far beyond simple digestive discomfort. Researchers suggest it could be linked to chronic inflammation, difficulty losing weight, persistent fatigue, and even shifts in mood and mental clarity. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover why fiber alone isn't enough for many people, what the most recent science says about a plant compound that's been in kitchens around the world for centuries, and how you can start taking care of your gut in a way that actually makes sense for your body. Stay with me, because this could change the way you understand your health starting today. To understand why your gut might be struggling, even when you feel like you're doing everything right, imagine for a moment that your digestive system is a garden. In a healthy garden, there's a wide variety of plants. Some produce flowers, others bear fruit, others simply protect the soil from erosion. That balance is what keeps the ecosystem alive and productive. But if a single species of invasive weed suddenly takes over, it starts crowding out everything else. The garden stops producing what it should. The soil becomes depleted, and no matter how much you water and fertilize, results don't improve. That, in essence, is what happens inside a gut with dysbiosis. Scientific evidence indicates that hundreds of different bacterial species coexist inside our intestines. Some of them are fundamental allies of our health. They produce vitamins, train the immune system, and protect the intestinal wall. Others, when they multiply without control, generate toxins, promote inflammation, and weaken the barrier that separates the inside of the intestine from the bloodstream. Studies suggest that when this barrier gets damaged, what scientists call intestinal permeability or leaky gut, harmful bacteria and their toxic byproducts can pass directly into the blood, triggering an inflammatory response that affects the entire body. A review published in the journal Nutrients found that people with a higher predominance of Firmicutes bacteria over Bacteroidetes, a classic pattern of dysbiosis, showed greater inflammation, worse intestinal barrier function, and a greater tendency to store fat. Put more simply, when bacterial balance breaks down, the gut stops doing its job properly, and the rest of the body feels it. Fatigue, joint pain, brain fog, unexplained mood swings. All of these symptoms that seem to have nothing to do with digestion could actually have their roots in an unbalanced gut. And this is where the big question comes in, the one few people dare to ask. If so many people have dysbiosis, why do we keep recommending more fiber as the first solution? A review published in Food Chemistry suggests that for people who already have an altered bacterial population, fiber can actually be fermented by the wrong bacteria, generating more gas, more bloating, and more toxins. It's not that fiber is bad, it's that the order in which we intervene matters more than we ever realized. Turmeric has been part of the cooking and traditional medicine of South Asia for more than 4,000 years. In India, in China, in the Middle East, grandmothers were adding it to stews long before any laboratory existed to explain why it worked. Today, science is beginning to understand the mechanisms behind that ancestral wisdom, and what it's finding is remarkable. The active compound in turmeric, curcumin, appears to have an uncommon ability to act selectively on the bacteria in the gut, suppressing the harmful ones without eliminating the beneficial ones. This is fundamentally different from what antibiotics do, which wipe out bacteria indiscriminately, good and bad alike, leaving the gut in a state of vulnerability. A study published in Scientific Reports in 2021, conducted with human participants in Singapore, found that even a single serving of mixed spices containing turmeric was enough to significantly reduce the presence of harmful Bacteroides bacteria, while simultaneously increasing the population of Bifidobacterium, one of the most protective and beneficial strains in the human gut. What's notable is that the effect was proportional to the amount consumed. The more turmeric in the diet, the more pronounced the positive change. In March of 2025, a systematic review published in the World Journal of Experimental Medicine confirmed that curcumin directly modifies the composition of the intestinal microbiota in humans, shifting the balance away from inflammatory bacteria toward a more diverse and healthy ecosystem. And a randomized clinical trial published in Food and Chemical Toxicology between 2024 and 2025, conducted with overweight adults, found that those taking curcumin supplements maintained stable levels of Faecalibacterium prausnitzii, a bacterium now considered one of the best indicators of gut health. The group that did not receive curcumin showed a significant drop in this protective bacterium. Perhaps the most exciting part of all of this connects to something Dr. Sebi always defended: the idea that the gut isn't just a digestive organ, but the control center of the entire body. Scientists today call it the gut-brain axis. A systematic review published in 2025 found that intestinal dysbiosis, especially the reduction of certain bacteria like Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium, is closely linked to greater intestinal permeability, which allows bacterial toxins to reach the brain through the bloodstream and trigger neuroinflammation. This explains why so many people with gut problems also report anxiety, low mood, difficulty concentrating, and that persistent feeling of brain fog. Curcumin, according to several studies, doesn't just act in the gut. It also appears to cross the blood-brain barrier and exert direct neuroprotective effects. The good news is that you don't need to buy expensive supplements or completely overhaul the way you eat to start benefiting from curcumin. Turmeric is an accessible, affordable, and versatile spice that you can easily incorporate into your everyday cooking. However, there's something crucial you need to know before you start. Curcumin on its own has very low absorption in the body. Your digestive system processes it quickly and absorbs very little when it's taken in isolation. But there's a cooking trick that changes everything. And you probably already have it in your kitchen. Black pepper contains a compound called piperine that, according to studies, can significantly increase the absorption of curcumin. So whenever you cook with turmeric, add a pinch of black pepper to the same dish. On top of that, curcumin is fat-soluble, which means it absorbs much better in the presence of fat. Combining it with a little olive oil, coconut oil, or any healthy fat maximizes its effect. A teaspoon of turmeric with black pepper added to a stew, a soup, a stir-fry, or even some roasted vegetables is already enough to start noticing changes over time. For those who want to take it a step further, there's a traditional preparation known as golden milk that combines turmeric, black pepper, fresh ginger, and warm milk, whether dairy or plant-based like coconut milk. Drinking it in the evenings can be especially helpful since the gut goes through its natural repair cycle during sleep hours. Ginger adds an extra benefit. Its active compounds, gingerol and shogaol, have shown in studies the ability to inhibit the growth of certain bacterial pathogens that can damage the intestinal lining. There are two things worth avoiding if you want the best results. First, don't combine turmeric with high-dose iron supplements at the same time of day, since curcumin has chelating properties that can interfere with iron absorption. Second, avoid taking it with large amounts of cold liquid immediately afterward, since the absorption of the accompanying fats works better at warmer temperatures. Studies suggest that changes in the gut microbiota start to become measurable around 2 weeks in, with the most significant improvements appearing between 4 and 8 weeks of consistent use. In the first few weeks, some people notice less bloating, better regularity, and more stable energy levels. Over time, many also report greater mental clarity, improved mood, and a comfortable digestion they may not have felt in years. There's something deeply reassuring about discovering that the wisdom of traditional healers and modern science are arriving, each by their own path at the same place. The words are different, the language has changed, but the message is the same. The gut is the center of health, and when it's out of balance, everything else feels it. And the most important thing I want you to take away from everything we've shared today is is this: that balance can be restored, not overnight, but steadily and progressively, with tools as simple and accessible as a spice you probably already have sitting in your pantry. This isn't about abandoning the medical advice you already receive, or replacing any treatment your doctor has prescribed. It's about understanding that there are layers to gut health that often don't get discussed in a 15-minute appointment. Curcumin isn't a magic cure, and no food or spice is. But the evidence suggests it can be a very valuable piece within a broader approach that also includes a varied diet, adequate rest, and a reduction in ultra-processed foods and refined sugars that feed the most harmful bacteria. If you decide to add turmeric to your routine, do it with patience and consistency. Experts believe regularity matters more than quantity. A small daily dose, well combined with black pepper and a healthy fat, is more effective than large amounts taken sporadically. Listen to your body, observe how it responds over time. And if you have any particular medical condition or are taking medications, check with your doctor before making significant changes to your diet. If this content has been useful to you, or if it's opened a door you didn't know existed, we'd love for you to share it with someone you care about. Sometimes the right information arrives at exactly the right moment, and it can make a real difference in someone's life. Leave us a comment below if you've ever tried turmeric and what results you noticed, or if you have a question you'd like us to explore in an upcoming video. We'll see you in the comments, and we'll be back soon with more evidence-based content made especially for you.